A lot of things are just perception, you know. I live in downtown Milwaukee, working in Oak Creek. Straight shot down to work. So I put my bicycle on the bus here a block away and ride the bus down to the airport, get off the bus, take my bike off, put on my winter clothes because it's actually winter out there now in Wisconsin. And I just thought, well, you know, I'm saving gobs of time and gobs of energy by hopping the bus. After all, buses are faster, you know? Saving all that energy. And then one morning I just decided, well, I just got lots of energy this morning, so I'll just ride. And you know, I got to work at the same time. 10 minutes early, I got to work 5 minutes early, 6 minutes early. You know, it takes 3-4 minutes to get off the bus, get the bike off the bus, maybe 5 minutes. Put my clothes back on, because you can't ride the bus with all this cold weather gear. And I thought, wow, that's not any faster. Ride from the airport to Oak Creek. Bus doesn't get me there any quicker. So now I've done it quite a few days, and it's the case. If I leave 10 minutes early, I'll get to work 5, maybe 6 minutes later than what the bus would show up if I took the bus. So I'm like, it's just a perception that I'm getting ahead by riding the bus. Because actually, I can take the $3 a day that I spend on the bus and buy some good food. And then I'm also got all this time that I spent exercising, so I don't have to go to the gym. I'm supposed to exercise at least an hour every day just to build heart muscle and have good lung muscles. So I'm better off health-wise than riding the bus, my bike for an hour. And one might think that it's cold out there. Well, actually I have enough gear, a really good coat, that I actually have to wear not too much clothes anymore because I'm getting too hot riding for an hour. So just a perception that I was saving anything riding the bus. And I was talking to a coworker. We're just doing a kind of a mindless test, cycle test on some parts. Requires some physical operations with our hands. And she made a comment about how long it actually takes us. And I said, well, you know, actually they've done the studies, because we're supposed to get so many cycles done in the day, that if you stop and rest so that you don't get worn out, your hands, arms, legs, your physical body, your mind, that you actually get more work done if you stop and rest than just keep powering through like they have most employees do, working 8 to 5, and then you're just 1 or 2 breaks and a lunch, and proven to actually get up and go to the water fountain and talk and walk around actually relieves stress and, you know, helps with your dexterity and everything. I've got on layers of clothes. So it's just a perception that driving your employees into the ground is actually more productive, actually gets more work done. Because they've proven it time and time again that it actually doesn't get more work done. Now, if you're in a crisis and you got to get the work done by a certain time, that might actually mean something. But overall, productivity isn't increased by increasing the number of hours. I've proven that time and time again. It's just a perception. You know, throw a lot of money at it, throw a lot of time. Yeah, get the right people, work efficiently. That's how you're productive. I'm old enough to realize, like King Solomon said, yeah, there's nothing new under the sun. It's the same old, same old. It's everywhere. Not just in riding the bike. It's not just in some tests at work. Same thing in medicine. Yeah, it's just a perception that those doctors and those drugs and all of that is really keeping you alive, because they've actually done the studies. 80% of healthcare costs are caused by your lifestyle choices, not whether you have a good doctor and the right drugs. Which brings up another point, because they've thrown all this money at research for drugs. And I'm reading in the Scientist magazine on the web the other day, they said, oh, guess what? The way two different species, human beings and mice, express themselves genetically and cellularly is totally different if you study enough of the mouse tissue and enough of the human tissue. Which, if you also consider that Dr. David Page, head of the Whitehead Institute at MIT, said that our basic study of disease is flawed based on the fact that there's a difference between male and female. He's got it in his YouTube article, YouTube talk on why sex matters. So if our study of disease is flawed, and our study, or the way we test our drugs, because, easily, 5, 10, sometimes even more percentage of the people have bad reactions to the drugs. So when you consider what modern medicine is handing you, it's just a perception that doctor and those drugs and that is going to be that much terribly helpful for you to live longer, when in fact they know if you just change your lifestyle, you'll live longer. They've got the studies. We've got so many misperceptions today. The world is full of deceptions. In fact, the last time I talked to a lawyer, he says, you didn't expect they would tell you the truth, did you? So perception, deception, it's just everywhere. You gotta be wise enough and get in there and be our own scientists and try it and see if it really is what it really is. Because if you can read the scientific papers, they're all of a sudden saying, oh, guess what? What we thought about that, well, that's not quite true. And what we thought about that, well, that's not true either. What they thought about, in this years ago, what they thought about what carried the most amount of energy in light, the big packets of light or the little packets of light. Well, see, we didn't know. We get all these misperceptions about things. Yeah, so people see me riding my bike outside now in the wintertime. Oh boy, that guy must be cold. And actually I'm a little too warm. There are times I actually have to open up my jacket and let the heat out. Yeah, so be careful for the misperceptions, the deceptions. I was talking to a guy at a motel where I was staying. He was cleaning. He had on his white cleaning clothes, and I asked him, so how long you've been working here? He goes, oh, ever since I've been a little kid. My parents own the place. I'm like, oh. I said, well, what part of India are you from? He goes, well, we're from the southern part. I said, so how do people treat you? He goes, oh, like I'm just a surfer around here. He goes, they don't talk to me. They don't say anything. I said, but your parents own the place, right? You're the owner's kid. He goes, yeah, I know, but, people have misperceptions. He says, little do they know, I'm in residency. He says, I go to work, and I put on a white coat, not too different than this, and put on a name badge, and they're like, oh, doctor this and doctor that. And he goes, and then it's the other extreme. They just give me way too much credit for knowing anything. He says, I've just started. It's all a matter of perception. Right after I got my 2-year degree, I was working with a bunch of engineers, actually. I had tested the system, and then I was keeping some of it running for them, and I was doing some of their technician work for them. But they had taught me to do some of their software testing and everything too, so I was not just run-of-the-mill technician, I was like an engineering technician. And they were showing me stuff so that I would learn. See, the more I knew, the easier their job was, because they could pass work on to me. And then this field engineer came in, and he was talking to all of us. Hello, 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 hi to me, hi, he was just talking all the good engineering stuff and everything, and then he started asking around me, he hadn't seen a couple of the guys. He asked him, so what field operation are you in, where are you from, and this and that. And the other engineers, they said, well, he's from so-and-so, he's coming out of Cincinnati or wherever. And the guy looks at me, and they go, oh, Dale, he's a final tester, he's a technician. The guy got real quiet, wouldn't talk to me after that. I guess he misperceived that I was an engineer and had lots of smarts. I have an older friend, he served during Vietnam, except he went to Germany and his brother went to Vietnam, and they were sitting in a bar in Milwaukee drinking. It's not too long after the war, and so this guy next to him, and his brother was gesturing or something. He bumped, I don't know if he bumped the guy or he bumped the drink. He said, oh, sorry, man. The guy says, well, you should watch yourself. He goes, well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to. And all of a sudden the other guy got really, macho, stick out his chest. He's, you ought to, and he kind of shoved this guy's brother that I know. I said, what'd your brother do? He goes, oh, he stood up. So the other guy stood up. They're like face to face for a moment. And then his brother walked away. And this guy looked at my friend. He says, not much of a man, is he? And Larry looked at him and says, he's killed nicer people than you. He's got a Bronze Star, a couple Purple Hearts, ribbons. He's been through 3 tours in Vietnam. Guess the guy misperceived his actions, turned ash white, and left. Gotta have our perceptions correct. Never know what you're dealing with.